Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome back to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan. Happy Friday, everyone. It is October 3rd, 2025.
It is indeed. And we're here, as always, with Connecting the Dots from Snarful Solutions Group, ready to break down some key tech stories.
Absolutely. Got some interesting stuff today, from way up high in orbit down to, well, the school parking lot.
Right. But first, let's do a quick check on the conditions out there. Here in Sacramento, looking like a chance of showers today. Maybe bring an umbrella. High around 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, good to know. Nationally, the big picture shows those persistent rip current risks sticking around the southeast and mid-Atlantic coasts.
Yeah, be careful out there. And Florida's seeing some locally heavy rain, particularly on the eastern side.
Meanwhile, it's warmth like record warmth and fire concerns through the plains and Midwest.
And then out west, things are a bit unsettled, kind of wet, thanks to a trough system moving through.
Okay, so a little bit of everything happening. How about the markets? How did the week wrap up?
Pretty well, actually. Yeah. Positive overall, that maybe a little mixed today specifically. The Dow Jones finished up about 160 points, 0.34% on the day.
Nice. And for the week?
Up almost a full percent, 0.95. The S&P 500 saw similar action, up about 14 points today, 0.21%.
And the weekly gain?
Even better, up 1.12% for the week. So solid gains there.
Good, good. What about Bitcoin? Always interesting to watch.
Yeah, it dipped just a tiny bit today, down about $81, which is only minus 0.07%.
Aussie practically flat for the day.
Right, but the weekly picture is still really strong.
Yeah.
Up over 5%, 5.36%. So, that volatility, it's just part of the game.
It certainly is. Okay, before we dive into our main stories from the Morningstar Report, a quick shout out to one of our sponsors.
Yes, we are proudly supported by Pins and Aces. That's Pins and Aces. They're your go-to for premium golf apparel and accessories.
Seriously good stuff. Polos, head covers, all kinds of gear to make you look sharp out there.
And you can get a great deal. Use our promo code SNARFUL, SNARFUL, at checkout.
And that gets you 21% off your entire purchase. Pretty sweet deal.
It really is. Just head over to pinsandaces.com. That's pinsandaces.com, code SNARFUL.
All right. Excellent. So let's get into it. Story number one from the Morningstar Report. Sounds like things are heating up in space.
Yeah, you could say that. It's about this new space race. Basically, the U.S. versus China focused on the moon.
Okay. And this came up where?
A recent Senate Commerce Committee hearing. The title alone kind of says it all. There's bad moon on the rise. Experts were sounding a serious alarm.
An alarm about what, specifically?
About the U.S. being at, and I quote, profound risk of losing leadership on the moon to China. And we're not talking decades away.
Right. China's aiming for a landing by 2029, maybe 2030. NASA's Artemis program is targeting mid-2027.
Which sounds earlier, but that Artemis timeline is looking increasingly fragile, let's say.
And why does it matter who gets there first? Beyond bragging rights, I mean.
Oh, it's huge. The testimony was clear. Whoever lands first essentially gets to write the rules of the road.
Rules for what? Like space traffic?
More than that. Rules for resource use, for governance up there, for who partners with whom internationally. It has major implications for the economy, national security, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high. What are the specific challenges for the U.S. and Artemis?
Well, reading through the reports, two big things jump out. First is a heavy reliance on specific hardware. NASA is really banking on SpaceX's Starship for the human landing system.
Right, the HLS contract. And Starship, well, it's impressive tech, but it's still very much in development, isn't it? Lots of fiery tests.
Exactly. Repeated failures, development seems slower than hoped. And get this, former NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine pointed out that one moon mission might need up to dozens of Starship launches just to pre-position fuel in orbit.
Dozens just for one trip. Wow. That's a massive logistical hurdle and a single point of failure almost.
It feels like it. That's problem one. Problem two is maybe less about tech and more about strategy or lack of consistent strategy.
What do you mean?
Well, the contrast is stark. China's described as having this unified, coherent national strategy for space, moving forward steadily.
Okay. And the U.S.?
Bridenstine used the phrase, cast to and fro from one administration to the next. The goals, the funding, the priorities seem to shift significantly with political changes.
So it's like trying to build something massive, but changing the blueprint every few years.
That's a great analogy. You can't really execute a decades-long plan effectively if the foundation keeps getting ripped out, right? It just doesn't work for these huge multi-generational efforts.
And that inconsistency probably spooks international partners too, I bet.
Definitely. Think about the Gateway Lunar Space Station. Billions have already been spent, and over 60% of that cost is being covered by international allies.
Wow, 60%. So they're heavily invested.
Deeply. But then you see things like the president's budget proposal last year suggesting canceling Gateway funding. Congress edited it back, thankfully. But that kind of uncertainty.
It makes allies nervous, makes them wonder if they should maybe look elsewhere, maybe towards America's geopolitical rivals, as the report put it.
Exactly. It undermines the whole alliance structure that Artemis is built on. So, yeah, the takeaway is pretty clear. Consistent long-term vision and funding are crucial, and political shifts can really derail things.
A sobering thought on the space front. Okay, so let's pivot completely. From inconsistent policy way up there, let's talk about some potentially smart policy happening right here on Earth with school buses.
Yeah, electric school buses.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. It's a pilot program happening in the Chicago area. Commonwealth Edison, or ComEd, they're the big utility in Illinois.
Okay, ComEd. And what are they doing with school buses?
They're working with 3 local school districts.
Yeah.
River Trails, Troy, and Wakanda, testing out vehicle-to-grid technology. V2G?
V2G, vehicle to grid. So the power goes both ways.
Exactly. They're using bidirectional chargers. So when those electric buses are parked, overnight, weekends, all summer, the energy stored in their big batteries doesn't just sit there.
It can flow back onto the grid?
Precisely. Back to ComEd when demand is high.
Huh. Okay, that sounds potentially huge. What are the benefits?
Well, the idea is it's a win-win-win. First, it helps balance the grid load, especially during peak times. Think hot summer afternoons when everyone's AC is running full blast.
Right, take some strain off the system.
Second, by doing that, it could potentially lower overall energy usage and costs for everybody, for all customers.
Okay, lower bills, I like that. And the third win.
For the school districts themselves, this could become a new revenue stream for them, turning those buses, which are expensive assets just sitting idle a lot of the time, into something that actually earns money.
That's clever. Turning a parked bus into a grid resource almost makes the bus the most valuable thing in the neighborhood overnight.
Huh. Could be. But, okay, let me play skeptic for a second here. Those batteries are super expensive, right? The heart of the electric bus.
Definitely the most costly component.
So does constantly charging and discharging them, sending power back and forth with this V2G thing, doesn't that wear out the batteries faster? Increase the risk of degrading them?
That is absolutely the million-dollar question, or maybe the multi-million-dollar question, given fleet costs. And that's exactly why the regulatory side is so important right now.
Ah, okay. So people are thinking about this.
Oh, yeah. Groups like the Smart Electric Power Alliance, SEPA, they're already putting out reports advising utilities and regulators on how to set this up properly, laying the groundwork.
Groundwork like what? What needs to be defined?
Really precise definitions are key. Things like distinguishing between non-parallel operation.
Which means?
Like the bus can only discharge power when it's totally disconnected from the grid, acting like a standalone generator.
Okay. Versus
parallel exporting, which is the true V2G model. That's where the bus is connected and actively sending power back onto the live grid and potentially getting compensated for it.
Gotcha. So those distinctions matter hugely for safety protocols, making sure everything syncs up correctly, nobody gets hurt, and also for figuring out the compensation structure. How do schools get paid for that power and for potentially the extra wear on their batteries?
Exactly. So unlike the sort of policy whiplash we see in the space race discussion, here you have regulators trying to be proactive, creating clarity before this scales up massively. That clear framework actually helps drive the innovation.
That makes sense. It changes the whole view of an EV fleet, doesn't it? From just an energy user to a potential grid asset. Pretty smart.
It really is. Okay, so from potentially grid-stabilizing buses, let's jump back up to the world of rockets for our third story. More high-risk stuff happening.
Yeah, it's always a bit chaotic in commercial space, isn't it? 2 key updates here. First, some bad news for Firefly Aerospace.
Oh, what happened?
They had a major failure recently. The booster stage for their next Alpha rocket, well, it was destroyed. Big, fiery explosion right there on the test stand in Central Texas.
Ouch. On the stand. Not even in flight.
Nope. During a vertical test firing. And this is supposed to be a big one for them. It was the booster for their return to flight mission.
Return to flight after
an earlier Alpha failed in flight back in April. This one was meant to carry a commercial satellite for Lockheed Martin. So yeah, a significant setback, delays, costs.
Ugh, tough break for them. It really highlights how hard this business is. But you said 2 updates. What's the other one?
The other is SpaceX, specifically about that super heavy booster for Starship, the thing we were just talking about being crucial for the moon landings.
Right. They've had their own share of dramatic landings, like the one that ended up in the Gulf of Mexico back in May.
Exactly.
Oh.
Well, they've just revealed a pretty radical redesign of that booster.
Yeah.
Based on lessons learned from those failed attempts.
A redesign. What did they change? They need this thing to work reliably, right?
Absolutely. So get this. They actually removed one of the key landing fins. It used to have 4 grid fins for steering during descent. Now we'll only have 3.
Removed a fin. Wait, how does taking away a control surface make it better? That sounds backwards.
That's it. But the thinking seems to be simplification. Fewer moving parts. Fewer potential failure points. Remember Elon Musk's quote, "Best part is no part."
Okay, that philosophy. So fewer fins, but are the remaining ones different?
Yeah, they're beefed up significantly. The 3 remaining grid fins are 50% larger and higher strength, more robust.
Okay, bigger, stronger fins. Anything else?
They also mentioned a catch point addition and positioning things lower down on the booster. It's all designed to work better with the launch tower arms, the Mechazilla system that's supposed to catch the booster.
So it's not just about landing softly, it's about being caught cleanly. The new design allows it to come down at a higher angle of attack, lining it up better for the catch.
Seems to be the idea. It's that relentless iteration cycle they have. Fail, analyze, redesign, try again. Super risky, but also incredibly fast compared to traditional aerospace development.
It really is. And it ties right back to our first story, doesn't it? The success or failure of this redesigned hardware, this Starship system.
It directly impacts the viability and timeline of the entire U.S. plan to get back to the moon ahead of China. The pressure is immense.
No kidding. Okay, quite a journey today. Moon races, school buses, exploding rockets. Before we wrap it all up, one more important thank you.
Yes, we also want to thank our sponsors, Skoni, that's spelled S-K-O-N-I, pronounced Skoni. They make fantastic premium golf shoes.
Super comfortable, great stability, and they look really good too. If your golf footwear needs an upgrade, definitely check them out.
And of course, we have a deal for you. Use that same promo code SNARFUL, S-N-A-R-F-U-L, at checkout on their site.
And that code gets you 15% off your entire purchase from Skoni.
Just head to skoni.com, that's S-K-O-N-I.com, code SNARFUL for 15% off.
Great sponsors, thanks to both Pins and Aces and Skoni. Okay, so let's connect these dots one last time. What's the big picture from today?
Well, I think it really boils down to how crucial policy and strategy are, maybe even more than the tech itself sometimes.
Yeah, first we saw the moon race. The U.S. has incredible capability, but that risk of falling behind China seems driven less by technology gaps and more by inconsistent stop-start policy that affects long-term planning and shakes international confidence.
Right. Billions in investment, global leadership. It's all tied to having that steady, multi-generational vision.
Then second, we saw the opposite in a way, the V2G tech with school buses.
Yeah.
That's taking off because regulators and utilities are trying to get ahead of it, creating clear rules and frameworks now to enable the innovation. Proactive policy making it work.
Turning buses into grid assets, potentially lowering your energy bill someday, that's a direct connection.
And finally, the rocket story just reminds us that the hardware underpinning these grand plans, especially for space, is constantly evolving under intense pressure and risk. Firefly Setbacks shows how hard it is.
Well, SpaceX's radical redesign shows that drive for simplification and efficiency, even if it means breaking things along the way. It's this high-wire act that the whole U.S. lunar strategy kind of depends on right now.
So technology moves fast, iterating constantly. But today really showed that without smart, consistent policy, whether it's funding cycles from Congress or interconnection rules from your local utility, even the coolest tech might not achieve its potential.
It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Who is ultimately responsible for drawing up that long-term blueprint, and who pays when the plans keep changing? Something to think about.
Indeed. Well, that's our time for today.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.